The Biden administration has come out with a brand new cartoon, which seems to be their preferred mode of disseminating policy information to the people of the country, which on the one hand is creepy and weird and pretty insulting, but which on the other hand offers a useful insight into just how stupid and ignorant and childlike your government thinks you are. And I think this new cartoon, it's called Life of Linda, by the way, or LOL for short, and there's your first mistake, Biden administration. I think it also provides us with an answer to the question, who is the rightful successor of Pajama Boy? You remember Pajama Boy. I feel like it was early second Obama term, so maybe 2013 or 14, but it was right around the holidays, and it was during the marketing push for the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. And so right before Christmas, they came out with this ridiculous ad where this effeminate-looking millennial guy in onesie pajamas tells you to also wear pajamas to drink hot chocolate and talk about health care. And it was such a stupid ad that the thrust of it was never really all that clear. Like, are they trying to get you to sign up for the registry or talk to your family about signing up for the registry or to tell your family that you're in desperate need of psychological care because you're a grown-ass man who wears onesie pajamas? But it didn't matter anyway. Because within a matter of about 5 minutes, the original purpose of Pajama Boy had been dispensed with and forgotten about, and he went on to become not only one of the most famous and successful internet memes of the 20-teens, but also a man whose very nickname became standard shorthand for every squishy, effeminate liberal male you know who probably wears onesie pajamas when nobody is around except his 11 cats. And look, say whatever you want about Pajama Boy, and believe me, I have. But in his defense, at least, he was an actual person and not a freaking cartoon, which brings us to the life of Linda. Linda is the Biden administration's cartoon mascot whose job it is to make you yearn to live in a world where everyone is equally unexceptional and mediocre. And for every moment of your natural-born life, from the cradle to the grave, you have at least one transactional relationship with the federal government at all times. Now, the first thing you need to know about Linda is that Linda don't need no man. In the first panel of this low-budget comic strip, we are introduced to Linda as a vaguely multi-ethnic looking manufacturing worker from Peoria, Illinois. Linda wears a red flannel shirt, work boots, a tool belt, and a hard hat. And before you go getting any stereotypical ideas about Linda's sexual preference, you will note that she is also pregnant with her son Leo. And that last detail kind of surprised me. Like, did you guys forget to clear this thing with Planned Parenthood? Because doesn't the hooray for abortion crowd tend to get really offended when unborn children are referred to as people? And by name, no less? So get ready for some angry letters from Alyssa Milano, White House. And there's so much to unpack just in the first frame of this thing. For starters, Linda herself, the actual drawing. I seriously think it's based on one of the standard people drawings that come with your AutoCAD software. If you're in the building industry, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like if you're doing an exterior elevation and you want to stick one or two people in the drawing to provide a sense of scale, and they have like 3 stock women and men that you can choose from, and she looks so much like one of those. And second, I think this cartoon is a great example of how in centralized government this stuff can be so incredibly overthought and so completely ignorant and clueless at the same time. There were probably dozens of man days that went into choosing Linda's name and skin tone. We have to make sure that she can pass for, say, white with a nice suntan, or Latina, or maybe sort of black. And we need to give her a name that doesn't pin down her ethnicity. So Karen and Shaniqua, they're both out. So they will pour over details like that, but at the same time, they'll get basic things just hilariously wrong. For example, Linda is described as a manufacturing worker, but her creators are very desirous that she have the visual aesthetic of a construction worker. Because in case you didn't get the first memo, Linda don't need no man. So now you've got the incongruous image of a manufacturing worker in a hard hat and tool belt. And I guarantee you somebody at the White House had to Google, what do you put in a tool belt? Because she's got one drill, one tape measure, one pencil, one screwdriver, one pair of pliers, which I'm sorry, people. Manufacturing workers don't have tool belts. They stand at the same workstation all day long. They don't need tool belts. Also, I'm kind of offended that Linda doesn't have eye protection and isn't wearing a mask, because she's probably breathing COVID all over her fellow tool belt wearing manufacturing workers who don't need no man, except to get knocked up. You know, if I just saw the drawing of Linda from that first panel and they didn't tell me anything about what sort of person she was supposed to be, I think my first two guesses would be butch lesbian and pregnant Diego Maradona, or Maradona with child, if you will. See what I did there? I'm actually pretty pleased with that one. And I guess Linda is the belle of the ball tonight, though she probably doesn't own many dresses because this opening segment is getting away from me, and we're still on that first panel. Jim Eagle, was it you that knocked up Linda? It was the tool belt, wasn't it? From high atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where a woman needs a man like a giraffe needs a xylophone. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea. Welcome to the program. I'm your eponymous host and humble servant. And have I mentioned that Linda don't need no man? Linda is a big, tough manufacturing worker lady who, for reasons yet unexplained, chooses to garb herself in the external accoutrements of a construction tradesman. So let the message go forth to friend and foe alike that if Linda had a husband, that silly bastard would just get in her way. Linda is her own husband. Linda has all the gender roles covered, which is well evidenced as her 8-month baby bump keeps making her tool belt fall down. Is it actually possible physically for a heavily pregnant woman to wear a tool belt? Or do they perhaps have special pregnant woman tool belts, probably designed by the same guy who made the maternity flight suits for the Air Force? Maybe it's got a built-in placenta catcher? I don't know. So Linda, she welcomes her son Leo into the world, much to the consternation of our friend Alyssa Milano. And before he has celebrated 3 birthdays, little Leo is in federal government daycare being looked after by a kindly black lady, while Linda works the day shift at her manufacturing job and the night shift as a truck stop waitress, because in order to pay for universal federal government daycare and also for saving the earth from the diabolical machinations of the evil sun monster, they had to start taxing people like Linda at 65%. But oh well, these things happen. That sun monster, it ain't gonna defeat itself. The strangest thing about Linda's story is the total absence of any mention of the man who impregnated her. But he is only absent in the literal sense, because they sort of comically overcompensate for his absence by having Linda basically be a dude. But even if only by omission, the life of Linda, or LOL, if you prefer, it says out loud what many have long suspected of the left, that they regard single motherhood as the ideal and the preferable thing, and all things being equal, they would prefer it if that was the standard. Leo doesn't need no daddy, because he's got mommy and government. That's who mommy's husband is, the federal administrative state. When mommy has to go to work, daddy government is there to raise little Leo for as many hours a day as you need, and it's all free. Well, except for the tax burden that's so crushing you have to take a second full-time job in order to cover your monthly expenses, but pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Leo graduates from government daycare and goes directly to government pre-K, which is where we get a brief appearance from the only white person in this story, who's a girl who might be a ginger but could possibly pass for a strawberry blonde. She is present in the free government daycare and the free government pre-K, so clearly she is a domestic terrorist, probably plotting some sort of insurrectionist hate crime. This is the only time in Leo's life that he ever has to contend with the evil of whiteness, and besides, why are we letting gingers have access to our free government pre-K program? Everybody knows gingers are evil, right? They're even more evil than regular white people. You don't believe me? The White House press secretary is a ginger, and look how evil she is. So Leo then matriculates from government pre-K to free government community college, because apparently he's on the accelerated track and got to skip a bunch of years, where he is taught by a skilled trade by a kindly black lady. And both of them are wearing eye protection, so that's good to see. And he moves on from there to the most exciting job in the whole wide world. He gets to work on wind turbines. And his boss is a kindly black lady. Because in the new enlightened American future, black ladies are the font of all wisdom and all authority. In Joe Biden's America of tomorrow, if you didn't learn it from a black lady, then you did not learn it. What's even better than that, in Joe Biden's vision of an ideal future, you can look forward to being the guy who keeps the bat-chomping, bird-slicing eco-crucifixes spinning day and night, or when the wind's blowing, at any rate, because if we're ever going to defeat that dastardly sun monster, we need to get serious about blighting the natural landscape and switching over to a mode of power generation that is so comically inefficient that even if it were to spin 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the average bird-chomping, bat-slicing eco-crucifix generates such a tiny amount of power that it never even offsets the expenditure of fossil fuel that was required to manufacture it in the first place and then to maintain it and keep it functioning. But people who call themselves environmentalists, they tell us this is just the way it has to be. And hey, if Leo can sleep soundly at night despite being a serial murderer of birds and bats, then who the hell am I to cast aspersions on his character? But while Leo was spending all those years under the tutelage of his various black female mentors, becoming a woke social justice warrior and wind turbine technician to the stars, Linda, she still didn't need no man. But she did start getting a little punchy, and her ears weren't what they used to be. But there is a federal government program for that, too. I mean, they can't fix you being senile. But you will be able to get a free government hearing aid so you can hear the communal television in the bleak nursing home where you're consigned to live out your last days. Oh, but wait, you're not in a nursing home. Because now there is free government at-home elder care. So now every American will be able to end life the same way they started it. At home, being cared for by an agent of the federal government. Because ain't freedom grand? Reading this Linda story, it makes me want to give a rousing oration while the battle hymn of the Republic plays in the background. I don't know about you, but I feel like I would have preferred it if they had just left Linda's ultimate fate ambiguous. I didn't really need to know how her story ended. I was fine with leaving her in the hands of her at-home government elder care provider, who I assume, of course, is a kindly black lady. I really thought it was a bit gratuitous how they included that final close-up shot of her gravestone upon which is engraved, "Shot in the back by Alec Baldwin over a matter of $80. And speaking of Alec Baldwin, have you heard about this controversy over lesbians not liking penis enough? No, I don't know what that means either. I just couldn't think of a better segue. But according to a report by the BBC, because if you pay for a TV license in Britain, this is apparently what you're getting in return now. There is an epidemic of lesbian women being declared transphobic because they don't want to have sex with dudes, or trans women, to use the fashionable parlance. And this is one of those times when the extent of my own ignorance is really driven home, because here I've thought all these years that avoiding penis was one of the core principles of lesbianism. But we are all in need of education, and your host is no different. Now, lesbians need to come to grips with the fact that a penis can be a female sex organ, and that is a direct quote from the BBC article. I did not make it up. Though if I had made it up, I would be pretty happy with it. And speaking of penises, have you heard about the new illegal alien lottery? No, I don't know what it has to do with penises. I've just decided to lean into the clumsy segues for the rest of the episode. In a world where Joe Biden's administration wants it reported to the IRS each time you buy a new TV, in a world where Joe Biden's administration wants to levy a tax against you if the value of your 401k increases year over year, that same Joe Biden administration announced yesterday its intention to pay $450,000 per person to illegal alien families who, in their judgment, were treated impolitely when they attempted to contravene our laws by entering the country illegally during the Trump administration. Now, your guess is as good as mine as far as what the actual intent of this proposed policy is, because the only thing I can fathom is just pure, unadulterated spite. This is the ruling class, the professional administrative state, grabbing you by the scruff of the neck and just rubbing your face right in it. Look at what we can do. We can give $1 million of your money to this illegal alien family of 4, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Because it wasn't enough that the current president campaigned saying he would stop all deportations and telling everyone, surge to the border. It wasn't enough to offer them all free housing, free education, free health care. It wasn't enough to hire a professional open borders activist to run our border security apparatus, whose confirmation was supported by 19 Republican senators. It wasn't enough to release 500,000 illegals into the interior of the country in the first half of this year. It wasn't enough to impose a vaccine mandate that would decimate our border security agencies on the order of 25 to 30% of their personnel. It wasn't enough to secretly fly plane loads of COVID-positive migrants to Republican states in the middle of the night and turn them loose. They need to rub your face in it even more than all that. They need to send you the message in no uncertain terms that they can do whatever the hell they please, and you, the lowly citizen, are powerless to stop them. So now we're going to get honest-to-God cash prizes for illegal aliens. And they're actually using the word reparations. Which, won't that make the race hustler crowd a little unhappy? The people who've been agitating for slavery reparations since longer than I've been alive. How is that crowd going to react when the illegal alien family of 4 gets $1.8 million from Uncle Joe Biden? But here's the thing. If the only people who are eligible for the illegal alien lottery are people who came over during the Trump administration, then didn't you just give all the illegals a perverse incentive to become Trump supporters? If I'm only eligible for the cash prize if Trump is the president, then you bet your ass I want Trump to be the president. But the guy who actually is the president currently, Biden, he's jetted off to Europe to pursue his 2 favorite pastimes, which are 1, going to the cool kid parties and acting like he belongs and everybody likes him, and 2, having meetings about meaningless crap. And when you're attending a global summit where the topic is how best to marshal the world's forces to defeat the evil sun monster, you get a lot of meetings about a lot of meaningless crap. And if there's any area of human endeavor where it can be said that Joe Biden shines, that's the one. It's why he was so very happy being a 6-term senator. Make statements, have meetings, issue reports, rinse and repeat until it's time for the next election. You never have to be skillful or decisive. The buck never stops with you. You never have to be personally accountable for anything. Just memorize the fashionable catchphrases of the day, learn to repeat them off the top of your head, and you are golden. Which brings me to the Virginia governor's race, because both of the contenders in that race, frankly, they impress me as Joe Biden types. Obviously, I hope the Republican wins, not because I find him impressive or because I like Republicans, but because Terry McAuliffe is a sleazy, loathsome creature of the most odious sort, and an America where he does not hold public office is a better America. But you listen to either one of these guys speak, and it's just so very underwhelming. I don't really know anything about Glenn Youngkin. He might be a perfectly decent guy. But when I listen to him talk, I can't help thinking, if you call down to central casting for milquetoast Republican candidate, this is the guy they would send back. The guy whose ceiling is that he knows how to memorize 7 or 8 lines and repeat them in a slightly different order each time, and 80% of the things he says are denigrating his opponent. Again, I hope he wins, but this race is reminding me why I so detest the 2 major parties that we've been stuck with for the past 160 plus years. And finally tonight, Halloween is this weekend, so let's all take a moment on Sunday to remember a simpler, better world, the world in which we were all once privileged to live, in which, when you went out in public and saw people with masks on, you knew it was either October 31st or you were about to be the victim of a train robbery. So do have a pleasant, edifying weekend. Here's hoping there are no razor blades in your candy apple, no PCP in your 3 Musketeers, and that you and your kids and grandkids stay safe from these and all other fanciful urban myths associated with this particular holiday. I will see you back here on Monday. Until then, keep your powder dry, do not comply, get off my lawn.